Hi, so let's keep working on the main page of our app. So the user enters some codes, and as you know, this label here, the display, it's not optimized. So what we need to do is, as you see, we need to wrap the text inside the borders of the app, so that if the device where the app is running is like that, the text will show normally as it shows right now, but if the device is a mobile phone, it will look like this. And so you want to wrap the text inside this area here so that the user can see the entire quote. So we are in this login screen success page, and we are talking about the text size attribute. So let's change the text size to self.width and self.height. What is self.width and what is self.height? Self.width, self refers to the current widget. So self is actually the label, and width is the width of the label, height is the height of the label. So the text will get the width and the height of the label where it resides, which means, let me save the Kiwi file. So every widget here has a size. And so label is one of the 5 widgets. Label, you have button, you have text input label, and you have this relative layout. And the label is taking 20% here. It's invisible, but if it had a background like this button, it would look like the text input size and this button size. So it's somewhere in here. So that's the width. And that's the height, more or less, of the label. So if I say sad, let's try to get a long quote. So this is what we get now. So it's looking better. If we squeeze, you see the text is wrapping inside the label height and label width. So you can see that now when I squeeze the window, I resize it, the label is dynamically resized, and so is the button and the text input. And so the text size will also reflect the size of the label, as you can see in here. But this is not yet enough. So how about giving the text more area to stretch vertically? If you want to do that, you want to set the text size height to none. So you don't want it to be related to the label. So if you save that, try the code. You see now the height of the text is greater than the height of the label. The label is somewhere here. So let me resize it again. So the label height is this high, so it's somewhere here, and the text height is greater than the label height. So this is better. We can see the text, but obviously the text is overlying. It's on top of other widgets, so that's not ideal yet, of course. So what can we do here? Well, what I'm thinking is we need to find a way to change the height of the label to match the height of the text. So in this case, that would be like having more of this black area here of the label. So having the label up to here and having the other widgets squeezed above the label. So let's change the height of the label to fit the height of the text. How can we do that? Well, first of all, we need the label Y. So the height of the label, we need that to ignore the size hinting, which means, let me show you what that means. Let me try another quote. So what that means is that the label height, it's not anymore 20% of the grid layout, but it has a fixed size of 100 pixels by default. So by default, the height of the label now is 100 pixels, and so that's the same as height 100. If I run this now, we're going to get the same exact output. But if you change this to 400, so the height of the label, this is the height attribute of the label, not of the text. So if you see now, the label is quite bigger. Let's say sad. So now the text has a lot of space. So you squeeze it and you can see the text. But this is not what we want. We said we want the height to be dynamic. We want the height to be reflecting the height of the text, so that when we have the window stretched like this, we want these buttons to be down here, and we want the label to be smaller. So the way to do that is, instead of having a fixed size for the height, we want to use self.texture size, and we get the second element of that texture size tuple. So texture size is a tuple which contains two items. The first item is the width of the text, so it's a dynamic value. It's going to change when you resize the window. And so the first value is the width and the second is the height. So with this index, we access the second element of the tuple. If we wanted the first element, we would use 0 here. We want the second, which is the height. So save that. So you see now the label is dynamic. So it's changing its size depending on the size of the text. And we can see the entire text. And when we stretch the window like that, we don't have any excessive blank area here, which would be the label body. However, this is not ideal, of course, and there's one more thing left what we can do here. What we need to do is to have some space for the scroll view widget, and the label together with its attributes, I have to indent it with tab to have it as a child of the scroll view. So scroll view now is at the same level with the other widgets, button, text input, the other label, and so on. So save that Kivy file now, execute. Happy, and so you can see a scroller there. Sad, enlighten me. So it's working with every kind of text. When the text is short, there is no scrolling, and when the text is longer, there is a scrolling automatically. So you can go to the end of the text. And so that is how you build a scroll view, which has a label and the label has some text inside. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video.